bottom. We're going to start from the mount. Everybody get where you can see. Step 1, secure with the left hand. Step 2, opposite grip. So I'm gonna pull this way and be pushing this way. This pinky finger should be near his Adam's apple. Pull, push, change my position, and drive. Make sense? All right. Very easy to defend if you do it like this. He starts feeling it, he puts his hand on the bottom, bases his elbow on the floor. Now watch, I'm pushing through his hand. Does that make sense? So when we're gonna do it, right, we go like we mean it. Does that make sense? Does that make it more effective?
Yes.
Punch choke. If possible, you want to think that this hand's gonna go across the throat and punch to the ground while you're pulling this up, okay? You're not punching into the throat. You're past the throat and you're pushing with your pinky finger side, pushing the lapel across the throat this way. Notice that when I am here, I can use my weight this way, but I put my foot back so that I can really drive. Okay? Pull, push, and I drive hard. Okay? Thank you, Landon. Punch choke. It's probably a ton of time on them, but what I do want to show you guys is that a lot of these chokes you can link together, all right? So I go like this, right? And I start to push, he starts to defend, right? Now I gotta decide what am I gonna do? I pull this out and I drop this low and I do paper cutter, I go the other way. Does that make sense? Yes. So I pull him, right? My pinky's near his throat, right? I base out. When I get here and I start cranking here, I can just about choke him with the left hand, but he bases this on and he gets on his side so that I can't get enough into it. I lift, drive, change to the other side, cut. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do I need to show you again?
Please.
One more time. You guys can't see, you can get up close, you can stand close. This is important. I get here, I start pulling. See how I'm pulling this? This is tightening up the other side. He starts defending. Now watch. I've already got this. I just drop my hand in and slide to the ground. Switch to this hand. When I pull all the slack out this way, my forearm's literally right across his throat. In this case, it'll be an air choke. If he turns his head hard the other way, it becomes a blood choke. Either way is fine. If he faces into it, he might cough, right? If he turns the other way, I just put him out because it's a blood choke. Paper cutter. Put them together. Start, lift, feed, number 2. Okay. I love that you guys are good friends and you don't want to hurt people. That is so important. Critical. However, I can see everything I need in his face. If I'm doing it right, I don't have to go as fast or as hard. If I'm doing it wrong and he's kind of like getting bored, starts scratching his head, he's not even defending himself, you need to probably say, all right, what am I doing wrong, buddy, right? So we start here. I pull out, I go here, and now he starts to stop me. I can still make this choke. Even though he's got that hand, this is the hand that now makes the choke. See how that hand pulls? But he's got good defense. He rolls up on his side a little bit. Let's stop this hand. There you go. Now, he's got his hand. I got to break through this hand to go any further. So I pull up, switch to here. Now, I could go ahead and just choke him here, but this is the hand. Look at all that slack, watch. I start pulling out the slack. Now, I'm not gonna move this arm at all. I'm not gonna move this arm at all, but watch. I start pulling up the slack. That's just this hand. I haven't even started this hand. Once I get to here and I do this, it's way different. Now watch with all the slack. Right? He puts his hand on my elbow, braces this way. Now I'm like, why did my choke work? Look at that space and look at this space. I recock. Then I choke again. Does that make sense? All right. 1, 2, right? He starts making this defense. No problem. On top. 3. Okay, and we go to cross choke. Punch choke. Feed deep. Grab pull. He starts pushing my elbow. That didn't go down like I want it to. I still have this. I can't get easily inside the collar, so I'm just going to go on top here, and I'm going to pull the slack here. Now the elbows tighten up this way. See that space? I take it away by moving my wrists. Now, I have taught in the past, he blocks, he defends, and I go here. I have taught that he's pretty strong, so I change my position, and then I drive this elbow, I hold here, I drive this elbow, I put my head to the ground. And you get a noticeable difference. Cross choke is the next one. All right. Punch choke, right? Pull here. Open, feed. Paper cutter, right? He stops that one. Over the top, drive, cross choke. Punch choke, paper feeder, cross choke. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, brother. Go.
Oh, wow.
All right. So, step number 1, right? Get this one set, right? I can still make mostly this choke. He probably wants to put his hand on my fist so that I can't push hard. Right? Now again, if I'm in a good position and I'm really still pushing, this hand can make the choke, but I'm just gonna open this up and I'm gonna drive this to the ground. Some of you went underhand. That's not necessarily wrong, but don't let your wrists bend because you give them a space. The hands have to be this way or the hands have to be this way. They can't be back knuckle to back knuckle. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So again, I fed this hand, right? And Andrew's like, okay, this feels really dangerous. I don't really like that. I don't even have to pull this elbow down yet. I can start making the choke here. Okay? Now, he doesn't like that, but he's my good friend, so as he taps, I immediately let him go. But he holds that elbow. He doesn't want me to bend the elbow because he knows that makes it worse. So I move to this one, and I take the slack out this way, and then I drop this down. Now, he puts both hands on my elbows, one on each elbow, and he pushes my elbows together. So now I don't have crap. I switch to this hand. I switch to this hand. I get low, and I got my hands now right by his neck. I come up, and I push this way. And this is the kneading choke. Who's ever kneaded bread or heard about that? Some of you guys are like, I don't even know what that means. I knead bread every day. It's for my sandwich. It's the other knead. It's with a K. So this one works on the inside of the neck. And I'm just going to hold on tight here, right? I do this from this position because I want to get low. Then watch. I use my fists and I come up, lift his head, and then I push my knuckles together. And he taps when it's uncomfortable. This way. All right, let's go through the series again. It should make sense. Number 1, what's it called?
Punch choke.
Punch choke. He rolls to his side, he rolls up on his side, puts his hand on my fist because he doesn't like that. Great. I lift. I feed. I grab this one. What's this one called?
Paper cutter.
Paper cutter. He starts making defense against the elbow. That's pretty smart. I can still maybe get him, but if I'm stuck, I don't want to burn up a lot of energy. I then go here, cross choke, and I start pushing with my weight. If I don't have him, and he's really got my elbows locked, all I got to do is feed this hand here. Then I feed this hand here. And he's thinking, thank God I can now breathe, right? Until I sit up. When I sit up, then I pinch in this way and make kneading choke. They should link together nicely. By the way, could you do them in any order? You could skip right over this one. You can start with this one. You can skip over the first two, right? And start here with cross choke and go straight to kneading choke. Okay? I'd be willing to bet that even if we're here in the kneading choke position, I could set up, refeed, and go back to this choke. Does it make sense? All right. You're with your partner. There are now 4 chokes. Easy peasy. We need to get them done quickly because we got to do them in the guard. All right.
Guard, sir. Paper cutter.
Cross choke.
Cross choke.
Kneading choke. Okay.
Choke.
All of these chokes have application predominantly on the mount, and you might have to make a couple of adjustments, okay? The thing is I can't push into him easily because there's no ground behind him when I'm in the guard. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
If I'm in the mount, I can push down, the ground stops him, there's no ground. The best I can do is use my legs to control him, right? So when I do this one, right, I gotta get here, I gotta turn sideways and pinch, and then I gotta push across this way. For me to do it this way, he just sits up, and I run out of arms, right? And if I sit up, I lose my base and I can't push anymore, right? So I turn to the side, I pull him in. So I'm pushing this way now. Make sense? So I'm at here, big push. Right, now, he still doesn't like that. He starts pushing against my fist, right? And he's trying to defend. I feed, no problem. I go here. Now, remember, I'm still in this position. I don't want him to sit up, so I pull him in, pull this out, and I start making paper cutter, right? That doesn't exactly work. I go here. Now, this is the one where you have to use your leg. I do this, he just stops me easily. That's nothing. Now watch. I pull him to here. Then I apply. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right, so he sits up, right? And I got nothing. I gotta get him down, hold him with my legs. Once I get here and I can start pulling, I pull him away into it. See how I pull his body into the choke?
Yes, sir.
Does that make sense?
Looks effortless.
All right, so once I do the cross choke, he doesn't like that. I'm gonna switch to this hand and I'm gonna go here. The last thing that he wants to do is have his face close to me, right? He starts to post up and I put him out. You see when he goes straight, how my hands go straight? And I pinch both of these major arteries here, or I'm across, if I'm not in the right place, I might not get those. I'll be across the throat, right? And I just push this way. Cool?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
All right. Step one is what?
Punch choke.
Punch.
Punch choke. Can I do it straight or do I have to move?
Move.
Move.
Down, hip, turn, push. He doesn't like that, no problem. What's the next one?
Paper cutter.
Reach deep. Now, I gotta pull hard here. I'm gonna use my legs. Then I'm gonna start to cut, right? He starts to defend. I reach over the top. I gotta take out the slack. I can't do it just with my strength of my arm, so I'm gonna pull him with my legs first. Lock this. Now watch, I pull him into the choke, right? Then, this one. I'm just waiting for him. Now, he posts up, and I finish him. Lyndon did not like that one. I totally pinched his entire airway off. Can you see how we can do these chokes to some extent from the mount as well as the guard?
Yes, sir.
Try from the guard. Go. I hope the question on your mind is, well, Ernest just showed us 4 chokes to use back to back. Why would we let go of the first choke, really? And the answer is you wouldn't in most cases. So for a training drill, this works really good, but you can chain these together when you're fighting if you know that one isn't working because he's got a good defense in. If he doesn't have a good defense in, trust the choke. Trust the choke, okay? Let's talk about some fine points. Get where you guys can see. All right. I know everybody's thinking, look at the hands, but I want you to look at something else. Look at the feet. This is very difficult for me to really drive forward. Now I can lift myself up, but if I go to drive forward, what happens? The knees are all that I really have. This is better. You want toes down, okay? Toes down, so that you can get some traction. Make sense? Pretty important for almost all these chokes that you have the ability to drive, okay, to drive in. All right. Some of you guys are trying to do this from way down here. And if, particularly like Jeremy's got a big chest and his shirt doesn't come together all the way, right? You do this and you're just like, it's not working. Wrench, you know, what the flip? Why isn't my technique working? Get a little bit in. Get the pinky close to the throat for the first one, right? Pull. Now I just made some space. See how I took that little bit of space out? I made some space here, but I took it from somewhere else. When I go across and then I am here, this hand doesn't move any farther. I can't really move that much farther. I'm out of material. That's why this hand is important. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
And that's why now I'm driving here. And my toes are on the ground here. Okay? Now, he puts his defense in. He doesn't like that. And he's not going out and he's not tapping. So I say, I'm just going to change. I'm just going to move this hand with this. See how I moved his hand off my hand? Now I've got this, right? He feels this tightening up, and he's thinking, holy crap, I'm about to get choked in from a different choke. But he didn't see it. He's looking up. My hands are working below his peripheral vision, his lower peripheral vision, right? I got this. I don't want to start cranking this early. By the way, he puts his hand on my elbow, and this no longer works at all. I can put all my weight on it, doesn't work. I take out that slack. If you can zoom in on that slack. Watch. See how I take out that slack? I got a good grip. I don't let my grip slide. Don't weak grip me, because then nothing works. Right? That inch, I got to take the inch out. See, I moved his neck into my arm. Now when I do this, it's pretty effective. Okay? I've got him. Right? Now he's going to try to pin his chin underneath my arm if he can, and I'm going to choke his chin a little bit, which is just going to turn that into a grind, right? I mean, I can grind the piss out of that face. But why waste a whole lot of energy? I switch. This knee goes down, and I go to the top. Now again, I take this space out. Okay, that's already here. I can't dig into this. His hands and everything's in the way. So I take the space out this way. I drop my head. Sorry, Lyndon, my bad. So anyways, he puts both hands on the elbows. By the way, what am I most susceptible to at this point?
Being sweat.
Yeah, I can get bridged. He can sweep me right off. He bridges, and guess what? No problem. I still choke him, right? Let's go back. Don't give up your choke just because you get rolled. You're going to be in the guard. We just talked about that, right? But he's got good defense. He's pushing hard on there. I want to get past that. I get past this, and I feed this hand in. Then I feed this hand in. He's not really sure what I'm doing unless he's familiar with his choke. But even if he knows what I'm doing, he's thinking I got a bridge or I got a shrimp, right? That's still okay. If he's thinking all that and I'm down low, he's going to have a hard time bridging me. I just ride it for a minute. Okay? All right. Then I come up. I got to get my arms straight. So my arms are like this. I got to get my arms up. I pull him up, right? And then I do this. That's a pretty good choke. But now watch. See how I drop my weight on him? Right? His facial expression will tell me everything I want. If I'm doing this and I don't have him, he can smile at me, right? And I got all this space. I got to be in the right position. I got to lift him into it, and I pinch, and then I drive. Does that make sense?
Sure.
And it all works similarly from the guard. Not the same. Similar is not the same. It's close. I can't get punch choke going like this because he just sits up, right? I can't pull enough here to get him all the way down and really make this thing happen. I'll get tired. So I got to shift. Foot goes down. I hip out. I pull him down. Now, he can try to go back, but I'm pushing this way. Okay? Does that make sense? Then I feed to this side. Now, there's going to be space here. What do I do with space? I take up the space, right? I start pulling, right? See how I'm turning his whole body? I start making this choke. He tries to block that choke. Now, this is the one you guys are having difficulty with. Remember, this is a drill. You might not get all 4 chokes in any fight in your whole life. That's okay. It's for training purposes. I grab the top. It's going to be hard for me to fiddle around and get inside there, so I just grab the top. And remember, I flex my wrists outward. So I'm here. I flex my wrists outward when I get him in. That's pretty tight. Now watch. I pull him away. Okay? When I pull him away, it tightens him up. I've taken up more space. Right? Then I feed this hand on the inside here. And I just wait. He's not going to want to smell my armpits for too long. He pushes away. That sets up my straight arms. I pinch. And then I can pull him back in, or I can just let him come all the way up. Either way is fine. Cool?
Sir.
Does that make sense for those 4 chokes?
Mm-hmm.
We have a few minutes. We must fight. Yes, sir. We must fight!